Hey all, this is Sam Rob 2020, and I'm here with Greg Bellan and Dave Sexton, and they have been gracious enough to talk about coming on and spending some time with you, talking about what life has been like for them with COVID-19. And first thing I want to ask you guys is how is this affecting you personally? What's it done to you in terms of your personal life?
Go ahead, Dave.
You know, personal life, it was actually kind of strange. My daughter got in the other day. I say the other day. It's been 4 days now. She came in from LA, and she's doing online studying, so her clock is a little bit different than mine. And I split my company's shift, so I get in about 8:30 at night, 9 o'clock, and she's in the room doing online classes, and I go to sleep, don't see her. When I wake up, she's asleep. So it's funny, the daughter's there, and I haven't seen her for 4 days.
Oh, wow.
And, like, legitimately, I saw her last night, like a shift of the night. She came out to get a glass of milk and said hello. It was kind of weird.
There's some days that I've done the same thing. I get up, sit down, and I start working. And between work and the campaign, it's kind of working two jobs. And I'll kind of wander downstairs for something to eat for lunch and something for dinner. And if I run into one of the kids, then that's it.
Yeah. Normally it seems like we're all on vacation, but with a heightened sense of awareness and anxiety, so it's just a little awkward.
Yeah. So I have three boys, age 13, 11, and 5.
Wow.
So they have
And
been.
you have hair.
I have hair. Yeah. Let's see. So they their last day of school was Thursday the 12th. Originally, our school district was having them go back on the following Monday for one more day, but social pressure and they changed it so just the parents went in and picked up books and those kind of things. I'm in Ohio. Governor DeWine has at this point shut school down for 3 weeks. I've been telling my kids since day one of this, I would not expect them to go back to school this school year. I hope I'm wrong. This week, they're actually on their scheduled spring break.
My girls too, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, same.
So officially, they have one more week after this week. From a state perspective, again, I would be shocked if that doesn't change. I actually I've been working from home since the 12th. That was my last day in the office. So, for me, I get up in the morning, I have breakfast. I have, at 8:30 a.m. stand-up call with my teams every morning. Everybody's looking the same way I am, drinking their coffee, eating their breakfast, what have you. And I just kind of go about my day. My difference at this point is, obviously instead of walking into somebody's office to have a meeting, it's all like this. It's all either video conference or phone. So it's, I have a feeling this is going to be the new normal for the foreseeable future, though.
A question for you. Do you see this as something that might persist? I mean, if you've got people that are working from home for the next 2 months and developing, figuring out how that works and getting used to it, and you've got students that are learning from home and, figuring out, oh, hey, this actually works pretty well.
Sure. Yeah, what I think what it's going to do is it's going to make companies that have been averse to working from home in the past see that it is doable. I work for a large 150-year-old company, multi-billion-dollar corporation that traditionally has been relatively averse to work from home. About a year ago, they started. I was able to do 1 day a week, and now at this point, everybody is. We're not allowed to be. There's a couple exceptions to that. But again, I think what we're going to find is, business is going to keep moving forward. And we have the technology at this point that we can look at each other and talk to each other. And, and Dave mentioned, schooling. I think schooling is another thing that, I think there's going to be a big move towards online schooling. I got my MBA back in 2003. and I'm looking at my diplomas here.
It's just carved out in rock.
Right, right, exactly. Yeah, right. And you know, my last class, I took entirely online, and that was a really weird experience, you know, 13, 14 years ago. But again, now I think it's going to be the norm.
Just the way it is. Now, in contrast, Dave, you've got manufacturing company. So, I mean,
Yeah.
you can't work from home.
That's
How's that working
correct.
out for you?
That's absolutely correct, Tim. So we've had to make some adjustments. For those who don't know, that I have we're a job shop. We're strictly a service oriented industry where we put coatings on aerospace parts. So we're a value added. Parts come in, we put the coating on, we send it back. We don't make anything here. There's roughly 32 employees here, and really there's nothing that can be done at home. We don't do any design and maybe a little bit of office work could be, but for the most part, the quotes come in here, and we need some of the tools in house, the actual physical, tangible tools in house to look at the quotes. What we did was during this time, we said, well, let's just minimize the exposure, and that was a big concern, obviously. So what we did was our normal hours are 7 to 3:30, an 8-hour workday. What we did was we changed our shifts from 4 o'clock in the morning till 12:30 in the afternoon, cleared out the complete facility with the exception of just the high-end top managers, and then the next shift came in from 7 to 8:30, and we sweetened the deal for the night shift. We said work 7 hours, we'll pay you for 8. So basically we did 2 shifts that didn't overlap. It gave us a half-hour window in between to sanitize the building, go through and just make sure everything's kind of cleaned up, prepped, and that actually kept the people from high-fiving on the way out, touching and saying hello and conversing, which was part of the move.
Yeah.
We didn't want people to actually cross paths. That was the point of it all. So with a tabula rasa, the new shift comes in, and so far so good. You know, do we come out ahead? We only come out ahead in the sense that hopefully we've minimized the exposure and no one's caught the CV. But at the end of the day, though, the lights are on longer, and the machines might be running a little bit longer. But we're doing everything we can to minimize that. So we're trying to get our efficiencies and economies of scale and our production down a little bit better. So it's forcing us to take a little bit more of an introspective look at how we're processing. Okay. And that pretty much is the big deal right there. That, and I'm buying lunch for everybody. No one's allowed. No one's allowed. I don't want to see anybody heading over to the grocery store.
That's awesome. I've actually heard a lot of companies doing that. Right? Yeah, don't bring your lunch. Don't go out for lunch. We'll give you something.
Yep. We have we do a full cater every time. We do a break, and then we do it. This end, the top will be a dinner, but in the morning, donuts in the morning, food in the afternoon, and that's how I want it. It's just the employees are they're the company asset. And when you're manufacturing and it's a job shop, they're your biggest asset at that point, especially with all the training that's put into it.
So now, can I ask you, did you get any guidelines about this, or is this something that you said, okay, hey, this is what we're going to do for my employees, make sure that they're taken care of, making sure that they're they don't have to worry about going out for lunch, make sure that their workspace space is clean, or is this something that you did on your own?
This is something we did on our own. We all talk about it, and like you guys, you have a close circle of friends that are in business as well. So, those phone meetings with all your friends, asking them what you're doing, we all kind of kick around, and by the time it's all done, we have a pretty good conglomeration of ideas and plans, and we take what's best for us. So that we take all that, we talk to our managers here, and we kind of put down on wax and say, let's see what we can do. And at the end of the day, we hope all of our decisions, they're educated decisions, they work out fine. And so far, so good. But we're day by day or week to week. Monday's going to be a different story. And we'll play by ear from then. We have a meeting scheduled every morning and every afternoon.
Okay. Now, Greg, you've got a little bit of a different view on things because you are on your city council, right?
I am, yes. Yeah, so I was
so
elected.
Can you give us a view from the elected officer position?
Sure. Yeah. So I was, just to give you a little background, the town that I live in is about 18,000 residents. I was elected in December of 2017. So we have actually shut down all city, public buildings. We've closed off all the buildings. We've closed the parks. We've closed the fitness center. We've closed the senior center. We have canceled all non-essential meetings, and like even city council meetings. We had one council meeting, which are typically every 2 weeks. We had one where we did go into the building, but we took precautions. The public was not allowed into the building. We did stream it live on YouTube so that we could make sure that we were complying with sunshine laws. And we had a seat in between us, so we weren't even sitting next to each other. We have also made accommodations for any subsequent meetings while this is still going on, where we're going to be able to do them telephonically or via video or what have you. The biggest hurdle that we have to do, again, is the sunshine laws, making sure that, any legislation that takes place or any votes or any conversations has to be, make the public aware prior to the meeting, and B, we need to stream it, or we need to give them some avenue to watch it or hear it or interact or be there. Obviously that poses some issues, but I think our next meeting is not till the 14th, and we've got some things underway that we're going to be able to do that.
Now, have you gotten any pushback or any feedback from any of the citizens in your town, or are there people that are disgruntled, or are most people okay with what's going on?
Yeah, I will say that from the city perspective, I will say that the overwhelming majority of feedback that I've gotten has been positive. And understanding that this is the right thing to do. We are doing what we can do to flatten the curve. Some of the feedback, not that I'm getting not just from my position, but just kind of, I'm sure you guys are hearing too. Hourly workers obviously are really affected because they're out of work.
Right.
Some of them may or may not be even able to apply for unemployment. No, I would say in general, it's been pretty positive. We were actually ahead of most of the things that Governor DeWine has enacted, and we were consistent with what he enacted, right? So we've actually done, like Dave has done, we've done split shifts where on our wastewater treatment plant, on our garbage pickup and those kind of things. City Hall at this point is being run. There's only 4 people in the building. We've given an additional bank of sick time to our employees, basically 2 weeks worth of sick time. So we've given them that, and we're rotating shifts so that we're cutting down on the number of people that are in any given facility at any given time.
Okay. And you mentioned that you started doing that even before the governor put that in place. Right? We
did, yeah. By about a week or so.
Okay.
I think we're kind of reading the tea leaves a little bit and anticipating kind of where he was going. Governor DeWine, if you haven't been following him, has been really proactive in terms of when he kind of shut things down in the state of Ohio. There has been an awful lot of folks that have said that he went too far, right? He went too far, too fast. On the state level, there's been an awful lot of people grumbling about, he's going to destroy the economy. And obviously now you're hearing that nationally as well. But if you look at the trajectory of the virus in the state of Ohio, you can really see that what he has done really has kind of flattened that curve. And, we can have a conversation about whether we think this is a hoax or if it's, what have you, but it's working for sure.
Yeah. And that's something I'm pretty sure nobody's really going to have all the information until we have more testing, until we have more experience, until we have a better picture. We're kind of in a fog right now. We don't know what's going on. So we're taking the best precautions we can. And I'm curious with both of you in your communities. One of the things I noticed, especially Greg, you mentioned, kind of reading the tea leaves, seeing what's coming. I know that in our community, we had a lot of churches well before our governor said, hey, we need to shut things down. We need smaller gatherings. A lot of churches, a lot of organizations, sports organizations, you saw that they said, hey, this is no. This is, we see what's here. We don't want to be responsible for making anybody sick. We don't want to be responsible for spreading this. So a lot of people stepped up and said, the responsible thing, the right thing in our communities is to, go to live stream service or cancel the baseball practice or cancel the basketball tournament. Did you see something similar in your communities or?
Yeah. So again, I've got 3 boys. So we've got, AAU basketball, which has essentially been put on hold. We've got travel baseball and rec baseball, which have both been put on hold indefinitely. T-ball for my little guy has been put on hold. Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing going on in the entire community. There are no more practices, no games. What I have seen is a lot of people out walking around. Last night I live in a cul-de-sac. It was beautiful here yesterday. It was probably in the 60s.
Yeah.
About 5 o'clock, there was probably 40 people outside, right? And just all spread out but having, conversations, being outside. Yeah. And, instead of being clustered real close, we were 6 feet apart,
Yeah.
It's real difficult to get the kids to keep that distance, right? It's difficult, especially my 5-year-old, to make him understand why he can't play with his friends or why he can't, go in their house, those kind of things. But I'm sure like you guys, we're just washing hands and sneezing into our sleeves. And, that's really all we can do. Right. I mean,
yeah. We're actually, when I get done here, my wife's waiting for me. We're going to take the girls, go out for a walk, down at the park. And the other odd thing about this has been, especially with 2 teenage girls, right? And telling them, no, you can't go out to your friends anymore. You have to be on your phone.
Right.
You have to be on your device. they're like, really? Is that what you're telling me, Dad?
Yeah.
This is it's almost like the big reverse psychology.
Yeah.
I want you to use your phone.
But it's so I was just going to say, we are lucky we're in 2020.
Oh yeah.
That we can sit here and the 3 of us can have this video call. We have
Ohio, Pennsylvania, Florida.
Yeah. Last Friday we had, for my company, we had a virtual happy hour, right? It was the same thing. Everybody got on, you got a drink and we just interacted and just talked. And it was nice because, again, one of these things that we are all missing, I think, in this, right, is that human interaction. And so we're very lucky in that we have the technology that we can do these sorts of things.
I think so. That's helped kind of ease the whole isolation thing. You think about doing this, like you said, with your MBA. I think about doing this 20 years ago.
Oh, couldn't do it.
Very, very different. Yeah.
No, that would be a completely different deal. Back then, it wasn't even on our radar. For me, that's
so.
I'm
going to end this with you guys with 2 questions for you, and thinking about this at the federal, at the state, at the local level, how we've dealt with COVID-19. So I'm going to ask you two questions. What have we done wrong? What do you think that we've done wrong as a country, as a government? And what do you think that we've done right?
Well, I guess I'll lead off on that. It's funny because whenever I ask somebody about something that they buy, I never say, what do you like about it? I always say, what don't you like about it? And it's easy to pick apart any government or any agency or any plan. Without knowing all the details or all the facts, if I look at this and if I put it on a micro level, if this happened at my facility, I say, what would I have done differently? It's a tough call because at the end of the day, just like the federal government, you have to figure out how the money comes through. I'd still have to make sure and figure out how everybody gets paid. So just how I'd react with any disaster here, I still take into consideration that the show must go on, and the show's going to go on one way or another. And does the cure outweigh the problem? And it's a tough question for everybody to answer. And there's some pretty polarizing ideas about that. I guess it all depends on what side of this whole thing you're on. And unfortunately, somebody has to make a decision. And whoever's making that decision, be it you, hopefully one day, Sam, is there's going to be people that aren't happy with the answer.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right now, I know that my doors are still open and we're still conducting business, and there's still a roof over my head, and there's still food in the grocery store. So the only thing I can say right now is, life is going forward. I'm not sheltered down right now, staring out a little slot in the window, eating pancakes that somebody's sliding under the door. So I'm pretty happy right now with that. What I think that could have been better is I've lost faith a long time ago in the reaction time for things, especially this bill being passed, and how this took place, and some of the bickering, or to use a finer word for it all, and how it got flowed out, and who's going to read 1,300 pages? As a small business owner, we do know that there are things inside that package right now that's set up to help us, but to manage it and figure out right now is going to be a labyrinth. And as soon as I get off this with you, I know I'm going to be doing a lot of reading that I'll probably understand a third of, and hopefully I can transcribe some of it into a positive idea for my company, and either A, get some relief that they've mentioned, or take advantage of. I say take advantage of, it's really using the facilities that are given to us to help make some good decisions and take care of my employees.
Good job, man. Fantastic. Greg?
So what have we done right and what have we done wrong? I think I'll start with what we've done right. I think there has been an increased level of communication about what is being done. Now, we can talk about whether what is being done or what is being said or who is saying it is the right messenger. But, there have been, like in Ohio, as an example, Governor DeWine goes on every day at 2:00 with his, health leaders and kind of gives us an update of the situation. He tells us how many people have tested positive, how many people are hospitalized, unfortunately, how many people have died. And that has been, I think, a positive, right? The flip side to that is, you look on social media and everybody's an expert, and, oh, I know a guy that I heard this, so that, but that's not specific to COVID-19. That is just kind of what we're dealing with today. On a negative perspective, based on what I've read, which again, I'm not an expert, it seems like we were slow on the uptick when it comes to testing. I think part of that, though, is it's a bigger picture. I think we as a country have been too reliant on other countries for far too long. And I think when we come out of this, whether you like President Trump or not, he has been consistent on one thing. He's been consistently anti-China, or he's been kind of telling that message, right? We're too reliant on China. He's talking about embargoes. He's talking about taxes, this and the other thing. And I think that his opinion specifically on China is going to be looked back on in a positive light. And I think what it's going to do is it's going to hopefully help make the United States less reliant on all other foreign entities. That's not to say that we're not going to trade, because we clearly need to and want to. And
right.
But I think, I'm babbling now. Did that answer your question though? I mean,
no, actually, I think I expressed a similar sentiment this past weekend, where the idea is not so much that trade with China is bad, but having China as your only prominent trade partner for so many things, related, especially at this point, related to healthcare, related to medicine, gives you an impetus to say, hey, I'm going to fan out and find some different suppliers. Dave, you know about that.
I look at this in the aerospace sector, and look, anybody who's in manufacturing, and we follow these standards. We follow the ISO standard. We follow AS standards. And in those things that many departments in the government make sure that we have in place, it says that we have to have multiple suppliers. Yet, as a whole, as a government, as a country, we sole source a lot of things to one place, and it's going to bite you. And if you only had one grocery store in town, how many people here go to Costco for one thing, your grocery store for another, the farmer's market for another. You have choices and you cherry pick. Well, as a government as a whole, we've tended to find ourselves doing a little bit more sole sourcing. Through our capitalist society, we do go to those places that either give us the cheapest, the best, the fastest turnaround time. Three things, only three things you get any product. And we find that China's delivering it. Well, it's got to tell us something. They're doing something right, but we are sole source. So we do need a backup plan.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. Well, I'll give you guys an opportunity. Anything you'd like to close with? Any thoughts or anything that's come to mind, or anything you want to say to people about life in COVID-19 land?
Yeah, I canceled my wedding.
Man, I'm sorry.
My wedding was June 6th, and we just canceled. And the hardest thing is getting a lot of the refunds back. Kudos out to Marriott right now. Thank you. There's a full refund, but a lot of sub-tier suppliers, it's tough because everybody's holding on to the greenback right now. So it's June 6th. We have to postpone it without a date. So pray for me.
We'll do, man. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep. I think for me, I think it is, things right now are looking pretty bleak, right? And I think it's important that if you're gonna share information, make sure it's valid information. Make sure you're looking at reputable sources for this information, whether that's the CDC or your state or what have you. Panic can spread very quickly, especially in social media world. I've actually turned a lot of it off just because it's just being inundated with Twitter and Facebook and it's constant. Some of the conspiracy theories are really funny to read, but but you have to read them with your fiction hat on, right? Sometimes I ran across a meme that I'm to the point in my life where if I don't have memes and GIFs, I can't communicate. But this one was really good, and I'll read it, and I'll just kind of end with this. I said, I know this, when this ends, and it will, every game will sell out, every restaurant will have a 2-hour wait, every kid will be glad to be in school, everyone will love their job, the stock market will skyrocket, every other house will get TP'd, and will embrace and shake hands. That's going to be a pretty good day. Hang in there, world. And that's kind of what's keeping me going is we're going to get through this. Yep. It's going to suck for a while, but we'll get through it.
Yeah. And I'll close with that too. I mean, we're Americans. We rise to the challenge. We get through things. We have this wonderful technology that we can use to stay in contact with each other. Use it. Get out there. If you're uncomfortable with this, it's very easy. You can go to zoom.com. You can try Skype. Any number of methods that you can use to connect with your family, with your neighbors. Check in on people. Check in on your extrovert friends. Seriously, I had a conversation. My wife and I called a friend of ours, did a video conference, and she needed some contact. She was basically dealing with some situations by herself, and she couldn't get out. And, so make sure that you talk to your extrovert friends. If you can, eat out, go get some takeout from your local places. We're trying to do that, help keep them afloat, and do everything you can to help build your community, to help the people in your community. And, we'll get through this. And like Greg said, there'll be a day when there'll be a 2-hour wait for the restaurant, and you will be glad for it. So, yeah. So Greg, thank you for being on. Dave, thank you for being on. This is Sam Robb 2020. Hang in there. The end is coming. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thanks, guys.